It is Tuesday, January 27th, 2026, and a general strike has been announced here in the US. I myself have already gone to 9 or 10 in-person physical protests, shut down the streets protests. What is happening with our president in the United States, I think, can only be described as dystopian. And what is equally dystopian has been the community reaction here in the US. How all of the people have responded to the situation. You know, the situation is what it is, and everybody else is just kind of sitting back and sucking their thumb and going, wow, look at the pretty fireworks. And people still think what's happening is okay for some reason. There are people that I know who look out into the world and what is currently happening to all of the minority groups who are not rich white men. And we see in the capital class, other than the capital class, all of this destruction that is happening right now. And now we're starting to see mobilization because of what has happened in Minnesota. And what has happened there is terrible, but what is equally terrible is that same type of thing, the same two incidents that focus this event, have happened so many times before in our history, and people just haven't seen it. The atrocities that are happening there are atrocities, but they're not unique atrocities. They are connected to the network, the web, the history, the case files of the atrocities that have already happened. And the bigger atrocity of how the people haven't responded to those atrocities in the past. And now there's going to be a general strike. How big of a general strike? Who shows up in the general strike? How much impact the strike has? We don't know. We have no clue. But there is going to be a general strike this Friday, January 30th. And I have to decide what I'm going to do in this situation. I am not going to look around to see what everybody else is doing. What are my friends doing? What are the Johnsons doing? You know, I'm not going to do that. I'm also not going to go, am I in a situation to participate in this? You know, that there are caveats to that. But listen, as a neurodivergent queer person living in the Midwest who is not economically stable, and lives in the not necessarily great parts of Detroit, and has, because of the social disability that autism is, a reduced social network. And I express myself differently after going through neurodivergent burnout. Let me tell you, not to trauma dump here and not to have a one-upsmanship on how am I in the situation. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to help you understand that if I'm in the situation and I know that I can step into this, that not everybody, and not even many, but many of you are going to be in a much more stable situation and a much more non-traumatized situation and a much more comfortable situation that you can definitely do something about this. If I can do something about this, you can also do something about this. And you need to make a decision. Because let me remind you that no decision is a decision. You can't just, well, I'll see. Well, we'll see what happens. A non-decision, especially right now, not just because of right now, but because of all the stuff that has come before that you, and partly me, have not, a lot of me, has not seen before, but is now seeing, is now becoming aware of all of this. You know, what has caused it? We'll talk about that later. How do we solve it? We'll talk about that later. But you do have to do something here, because there is going to be a general strike, January 30th. Nationwide. for good reasons. Now, you might not agree with the strategy of a strike. You might not think that this is the way to do it. You might not think that the political organizers of the strike haven't laid out specifically a 9-point agenda which has been unified by all of the other people out there. And this is the thing, and then I'll show up to a strike. But until it's perfect, until it's not a coalition of multiple different groups with multiple different perspectives coming together and saying we collectively don't even totally know exactly how this thing is supposed to work, and we're not sure, but we do know that that thing over there is not okay. Is not okay. The coalition will not have a one-liner. The coalition is not going to have a one-paragraph summary of here's what we think, because these groups really don't agree. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. The vision of the future that I have is not, it's that one big thing over there, and we have to get all these other guys to come together as a clay-mobile so that we can actually get this other thing down, is actually the bigger part of the problem here. The bigger part of the problem is we've set up a structure, we've set up a system where people with lots of money, I mean, I'm not talking about dentist-rich money. I'm talking about 19 dentists being eaten on their platter every hour. I haven't actually done the math, do the math. And they still would be able to eat 19 dentists an hour perpetually for the rest of their lives and never run out of dentists to eat because they're that rich. And let me tell you that despite what you think about the value of humanity and intelligence, however libertarian you are, however based on your value you are, there's a word for that, I forgot, I put it in the comments. Well, however you are in that world, gotta let go of that word here, that a system which allows that to be created, that much wealth up here creates so many power distortions. It's not just about how much money they have, which is extreme how much money they have, but how few people have that money, and just the order of magnitude of increases of efficiency of how that money is used and how it can pull strings and set systems, and how far back that goes as well, and how far internationally that is. When you have that much money, it's not about a country, it's about all the countries together being played like a big string puppet net between a bunch of people who have so much money you can't even imagine. And whatever you think the solution is to this situation, and let me remind you, this is the situation, folks. The answer is not we got to get the Democrats back. God help me. The answer is not we need to get the Democrats back. No, the Democrats have failed, but what has failed more than the Democrats is the political system that we have constructed, the arrangements of this system, how it is extractive and destructive and expects us to perpetuate ourselves in ways that destroy the planet, destroy the biome, destroy the world that is this beautiful living ecosystem, which is Gaia, of which we are a part of. We destroy that because our system doesn't allow anything else but the perpetual ongoing craziness of this, and then creates stupid things like billionaires and nearly trillionaires. Right? What? The problem is not we gotta, get rid of capitalism and bring in socialism. That is not the problem here, although might be a contributing factor. I do like private property though. What we do need to be aware of is just the whole thing is bad and wrong, and we don't know what the answer is. We don't know what the solution is. We are not going to get one person who says, I have it, and this is the one thing we get behind. What we need to do is recognize the rules and the structures of how this thing is built by mostly rich white men, but others too, is that the whole system needs to go. The whole way we built this needs to come down. The whole way we've constructed, all of the ways we've built it, need to come down. Now, let me, big important note here. That does not mean go punch anything. That does not mean burn anything. That does not mean become violent in any way. Because go read the works of nonviolent authors before me, because let me tell you, there have been many, so many, and so much research on this topic about how nonviolent resistance is the way to get effective change. Couple asterisks, very small asterisks, because I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm autistic here. Our asterisks, go read the books on this. I have read the books on this one, or listened to them, at least. Not the whole thing needs to come down, but it does not need to be blown up, because listen, we're all in the plane together. We're in a sealed metal tube. We're all in here together. There's only one planet, and we're currently burning the thing down while we're hurling through space, maybe surrounded by aliens, or maybe that's a psyop that's being played on us. We don't know. Let's find out. That as this crazy thing is happening right now, I think I'm done. I don't know that I have any more else to say other than this. I really wanted to get involved in this strike, to do a big post on social media calling people to action, to say, this is what you need to do right now. Stand up, do this thing, go. And then I called my mom, which is not, I love my mom. Listen, I love my mom, but I would love to have other people in my life that I can call and ask these types of crazy questions to, but I don't really have many of them right now. So I called my mom. I do love you, Mom, but I think you get it. And I said, listen, you know the situation I'm in now. I am not economically stable. I'm in the middle of neurodivergent burnout, deep neurodivergent burnout. I'm also a queer person and recently out as non-binary. I spend sometimes days of my week in my blackout tent because my nervous system is so shattered. Not because I, was a hooligan and went and did a bunch of drugs when I was a kid and was running around. No, I did all the work. I played it straight-laced the whole way through. And I was so straight-laced that it choked me out, and I created an entire persona, an entire monkey system on how to play in the world as an autistic person, masking myself so I could play around with realistic people out there. That's neurotypical people, 96% of you. That's probably you watching this video. If it's not you, you know. And it shattered apart. It shattered apart. All of the trauma from so many different things in my life finally snapped. It got inside of who I am. And because I was doing the work, I was doing the yoga, I was doing the meditation, I was doing the journaling, I was doing the spiritual seeking, I was doing the loving and compassionate kind thing. I was, trying to walk the good path. Because I opened my heart up, the trauma got to me. It got deep inside of me because I now knew what the word abandonment trauma was. And I didn't even know that word. I knew so many other words. And not only did I know what the word meant, I know what it feels like as an emotion. I can bring up that emotion in me. And not only do I know what the emotion of abandonment trauma feels like, I know what it feels like in my body. And not only do I know what it feels like in my body, I can sense what it is in the pattern of my nervous system and my fascia and my whatever, however woo-woo you want to go. I can see how the system has, that trauma tweaked this and... So I'm not in a spot to do anything about this right now. I have sitting on my clipboard of things that I was doing today to try to get my nervous system back on track while making more money to survive in this, hellscape we're currently in. And it's not that I necessarily need a job at the moment. I do eventually, but I got to get my nervous system back online, because even though right now I could limp by and probably do way better than pretty much anybody, that doesn't allow me to heal to the place where I can show up with as who I actually am, of who I am as an autistic person, of who I am as a non-binary person. Because it's not safe to show up in those spaces yet. So if I'm sitting here thinking about participating in this general strike, then maybe you can too. Maybe you can too. If that guy is willing to stand up and get on social media and invite people over to his house, then maybe you can do something, hey? Maybe? Yeah, I know you got all your shit too. Listen, you got your shit, but that guy over there, whoo, that guy got some shit to work through. And I don't know about you, boo-boo. This does not need to be a comparison game. Listen, if you need to hear right now, rest, then hear me say, you need a rest. But if that's not what you need to hear right now, let me tell you, honey boo-boo, it is time to go do something. Do something. Back to the party. So I am not in a situation to respond to anybody right now. Like, I can't go out and do stuff right now because I'm trying to get my shit together. So I called my mom and I'm like, Mom, I kind of need you to talk me off the ledge right now. And in the sense of, I have this whole social media post written up about participating in the day where we don't work, forget that word, general strike, January 30th, general strike. And this, which I plan to do, I think, although, yeah, is protest, is it strike the best way? Let me tell you, it may not be the best way, but it's the way that we got, and it's the way that we move in forward, because listen, we tried a lot of the other strategies. Let me tell you, we have tried a lot of the other strategies. This is not wait for the midterms. This is not get the Democrats back. Let me tell you, the whole system needs to go down. We have tried the other strategies over here. And so it feels like it's really important for me to get involved in this thing. But I call my mom and I say, talk me off the ledge, because I'm about to invite a bunch of people over on Friday and say, listen, I don't know what the solution is, but I know this thing's got to go. What are you going to do? What are we going to do? How are we getting together? Do we make a mutual aid group? Is that what we need to do? Do we need to come up with support groups for each other? Is that what we need to do? Are we joining another political party, the socialists, the communists? I'm telling you right now, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think joining another political party is the answer, because that's still playing with the system which has the same rules. The rules which have the nearly trillionaires, the rules which have two Democratic parties, the rules which have traumatized all of those people, which we're now starting to see because what is happening, right? Those rules, it's the rules that the system, it's the whole thing. And I don't think it's about money. I don't think it's about capitalism. I don't think it's about private property. That is a contributing factor. But listen, honey boo boo, I have been in places where there was not any private property, and it was the tragedy of the commons. It was nasty. And you want to know how I know this? Because of the buses and of the Amtrak system in the United States and other places. If it is just everybody owns it, nobody has any investment in it at all, then in a couple of generations, it may not be the first, that utopia becomes a dystopia. So private property probably should be a thing here, but not to the level that we're doing, not to this extractive capitalism thing. I don't know what it looks like, but I'm telling you, getting rid of the money, it's part of it, but not all of it. Private property is still a thing. Anyways, the system is the bit that has to come down. And here's what I know, that no matter what happens in the US, Remember, whatever happens in the US, I mean legitimately nonviolent. That is not a wink wink nonviolent. That is an actual no guns, no rocks nonviolent. Got it? I want to see what's happening in Portland. Be the standard. You get yourself a little chicken suit with those blow up ones. You get yourself a frog. I want to see you out there in Lycra. I want to see some moves to, a line dance out there. Where's my, with my name? I need to see some dance moves, right? I want to see comedy, action. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to see. Non-violent comedy action, just exactly what's happening in Portland. All over the place. No rocks, no bricks, no sticks, no guns. Leave private property alone. But the rest of the system has got to go. Okay? And it's not join a new political party. It's not hope the Democrats do it. It's not move to Europe. Because let me let you know. It is happening in Europe too. It is happening in Asia too. I don't know that's happening in Antarctica, but the Arctic, but it might be happening over there too, right? It is happening all over the place, and it is going to I feel like a preacher. It's going to keep happening all over the place, and if you don't know it yet, you will know it soon, because the hell, the fire, and the brimstone, it doesn't have to be bad, guys. There's going to be a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of change coming up here. But that does not mean it necessarily is going to be bad. All right? Stuff is going to change. And change to social primates, mammals, specifically autistic people, is a threat. Shifting is a threat. Uncertainty is a threat. It feels like a threat. The nervous system locks up. Let me tell you, I know how this feels. And you can't live your fucking life. Like you want to work, but you can't. And your nervous system locks up, right? And you don't know what to do because you can't move through this. Let me tell you, I know. I know what it feels like. I know what that feels like. It goes so deep. It goes so deep that it will knock you out of the race. It will knock you out of the race. It will knock you out of the race. And let me remind you, friends, as a wise box of Cheerios I once saw said on the back, friends, this is a marathon, not a 5K. They continued, friends, this is a marathon. This is a triathlon. This is I know triathlete, and this is a triathlon, okay? Okay, this is a couple of triathlons a year. Hi, are you listening to me? Are you gonna listen? Hi. This is a couple of triathlons a year that we'll be running here, okay? Couple of triathlons. Maybe not with our bodies, but with our energy system, with the way things are gonna happen, with the movement that's gonna happen. Woo! It's gonna start getting intense. Couple triathlons a year, all right? So we don't necessarily need to go ballistic right now. Activating right now is important, all right? Getting yourself active is a really important thing to do. That is super important. You need to snap out of, I'm just gonna watch and see what happens mode. We'll just, computer time, Instagram time, numb out time, smoke time, drink time, go out with the girls time, I'm just gotta look better time, gotta buy something on Amazon time, gotta fix up the house time. Whatever it is that you use to dissociate and distract yourself and pretend that reality isn't reality and things aren't happening like they are happening. They are happening, by the way. That is, you gotta snap out of that. That is your requirement, all right? If you're back in La La Land, okay? If you're over here at, you're checked out, playing the Call of Duties, doing that. If you're over here on your spiritual healing journey, let me talk to you right now. We keep going. Keep going, we need you, but also don't pretend that this isn't happening, all right? Don't numb out. Don't go la 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 more than you need to. You do need to. Listen. Listen. I get out on the social internets for like 10 minutes a day maximum. I do not look at the TikToks. I do not watch the Instagrams. I do not read the news channels. The news channels owned by the corporations, that big thing that need to go down, that thing non-violently owned by those guys. Yeah, the social media also, those guys, same guys out there. All of the news that you're getting right now, all the information you're receiving right now is an algorithm manipulated by factors that we don't even know. Hey, listen, just because it's a Chinese company, just because it's an American company, just because the Chinese or American governments both have contracts saying they can get data from anybody that they want to at any point in time for any reason. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, all of those guys, they control what you see, how you think, how you feel in your body in so many ways that you don't even know. The color of the lights in Walmart, have gone up to 10,000 Kelvin. Why have they done that? There is really good research on what your body does when you're under lights like that. There's amazing research on what your body does. There is so much information on what your body does when it listens to that music when you're inside a Target. Whoops, are you there still? I mean, not inside a Target, inside of... Actually, what big box store could you go into in America that's not like this? Costco. We love you, Costco. Costco, you're great. Other than Costco, none. None is the answer to that question. So this is where I am right now, is I am understanding that this is a triathlon. I am in a bad spot. I am in a bad spot between, getting through burnout and the trauma and the identity and the personal rebuilding enough so that I can engage in the world at a stronger economic stance than I already am, that I could have more clients and do more things, right? This is less about, I just need a job, right? Because jobs are done. No, jobs are done. We're done with that. The way it's been done for all of you like tech bros out there, and just thinking you can climb the economic class, listen, that was a story made up too. That was a story made up too to control you, that you could think you could just climb up the economic classes. That was true if you were rich and white. Oh, and let me remind you, this is talking about the US, it's different in other places because other places have their way to do it. Those were the guys who also decided what you saw on the TV and decided what you read in the magazines, and collectively were controlled by the big money, right? And the politics, but it's all the same, the whole system, right? Those guys are the ones, yep, they're the ones who've been influencing you with the 10,000 Kelvin lights. And the ways that your body moves through the world, because it's all straight lines. Do you know what your body does around straight lines? Hey, you're a social primate mammal first, and your body is used to being out in nature. And in nature, there are not very many straight lines out there, folks. Not so many straight lines in nature. So when your social primate body sees a straight line, it goes, "Oh, what's that? Straight line? What's going on? That's interesting. My nervous system's activated. I don't see straight lines all the time. What's going on?" Guess what? Look around the space you're in right now. Just take a gander. How many straight lines you see in here, folks? Floor to ceiling, ceiling to the other side of the ceiling, back to the floor. Oh, every floorboard in here is straight. Oh, the desk, the chair, it's all straight. Oh. Interesting. What does the human body do when it's surrounded by straight lines? Go read about the research. Hey, listen, go read about it. I have, because neurodivergent burnout. The world around us is constructed in a way which is designed to get us anxious and overloaded and twitchy, because that's easy to control. Somebody is twitching out because they're surrounded by straight lines. That one's easy to control. So what I've decided to do is I'm not going to do anything this Friday other than maybe move a couple client meetings to not be on Friday. I mean, I'm already not buying stuff because, money, but I would just definitely not buy anything that day. And it wasn't going to go to school anyways. Okay, well, maybe, I guess I can, this is really important. And even though I'm way down here, periscope down, trying not to block it out, because I go look for a little while, but know that I have to heal myself because this is a triathlon. And this is not about what happens this one weekend. It's not about if you suddenly start doing something, all of a sudden, okay, now we're going to start doing something. We haven't been doing much for a long time, and there's been a ton of atrocities back there that you haven't been doing a thing about these neighbors, about these queer people, about these disabled people, about these poor people, about these people who don't think like you, who don't believe in the same Abrahamic God that you believe in. Whatever it is. Atrocities have been happening, and you haven't been doing nothing about it. Most of y'all. A couple of exceptions out there. And you need to grieve that. You need to come to a place of saying, I now see what's going on in the world, and I now see that's bad. But seeing that that's bad tells me that all that other stuff that's been happening is also really bad. And I didn't do very much about that. And what does that say about me as a person? That I didn't do much about that. Or I did it wrong. Or I did it poorly. Because let me tell you, I'm a queer person. And when I was a good little Christian boy, and I was reading the Bible and giving the policy debate speeches and defending the impromptu apologetics and cleaning the guns at the dining room table with my family, which was, multi-generational military family, far right leaning politically, far right leaning religiously, in a military family that moved all over the place all the time. And, the people were, Jesus in the church. In that place, as an autistic kid, in the 90s, as a queer person, in the 90s, living in that world, in that way, where am I going with my trauma dumping here? Where am I going with my trauma Olympics? I'm not sure. But I can tell you that I've decided I am not going to do more than that on Friday. And I called my mom and I talked this through. And I think I agree with our conversation, which is just, I'm raw at this point. I'm saying things in ways I would not have said before, not only because I'm an autistic who's finally finding my voice again. You can hear it in my voice. It's coming back out. The throat chakra is activating. I'm finding it in my body again. I'm finding it in my nervous system again. To be honest and to be able to grieve all of the bad stuff that's happened before and admit that in that terrible, traumatized place that I was in, that's what I'm trying to thing, I sent some pretty nasty messages to some other people out there. Josh Slavinsky, if you're still on Facebook, I was thinking about you, baby. That is... And I have done some nasty things to people who were not neurodivergent like me. I'm looking at all my ADHD friends out there. I was not always very nice. And I have said some nice things about the crazy trash gremlins in my life. But that are also valid. I have been nasty to the people who I am, to the trauma that I have. Like, I have been nasty to my own community. My own little corner. And I have been nastier, probably. Yeah. To people who were not in my corner. If I did that to the queer people and I was a queer person, I mean, trauma, yeah, but if I was a neurodivergent person with a different nervous system, I saw somebody else with a different nervous system, I knew we both had different nervous systems than the 96% of those nervous systems, right? And I was not nice to that person. I mean, I gotta grieve. And you gotta grieve too, because listen, if you're gonna step into this, if you're not gonna be a Trumper, then you need to be willing to admit. Like for realsies here, that bad stuff has been happening for a real long time, and we've been looking over it. We haven't been engaging with it. You haven't been engaging with it. I had not been engaging with it deep enough. And we have to allow ourselves to be indicted by that. We have to allow ourselves to be convicted of that. We gotta allow the nun to show up with her ruler and say, bad boy. We gotta be willing to be little Don Don on the plane going, I'm not sure I'm heaven bound. We gotta be willing to do that. Because that says so much about who I am as a person. That says so much about who I am as a person. You know, this is so much about who I am as a person. And even though rich white man does not apply to me, right? Because I am not rich, I am definitely white, but the whites don't like me. I am white. And even though I am a non-binary person, I have had the privilege of walking around in a male body. You know, I'm a neurodivergent non-binary person, but that doesn't mean that I haven't had the privilege of walking around in a white body. I've been walking around in a white body. And that gives me privileges and ways that, listen, until you live on Fenkell Street in Detroit, Michigan, you do not know. You do not know the privileges you have until you live on Fenkell Street, Detroit, Michigan, as a white boy. Let me tell you that. And as a male, listen, after coming out as non-binary and experiencing how minority genders have been treated in the workplace, listen folks, even the men, the black men, all the men, the Latino, the Asian men, all the men's of all the colors, listen, all the men's of all the colors, all the men's of all the colors, listens up, here's, brothers, let me give you a word, regardless of the level, your genetics, regardless of you got a Y chromosome, you listen up here. We have been in a patriarchal age. Where the boys been running the show. There's been a no girls club. All right. That's been the way it's been going. All right. I know you don't want to admit that. I know male dominance, female subordinates, gender. Wrong. You know, people in male bodies do have male bodies which have hormonal and structural and physiological differences. All right? People who have 2 X chromosomes are living in bodies that have biological chemical differences, right? There are 2 bodies. Oh wait, but then there's 72 plus other intersex bodies. So actually, that's actually not a thing either. So this weekend, I'm doing nothing other than moving a couple of meetings. Because I've already been doing stuff. And I so desperately want to get a group of people together at my dining room table and say, listen, all right, it's getting real, folks. What are we doing? I want to go out and find my community to do this with, because I don't currently have it. Despite trying to build it or trying to find it. Woo! Working on that. I want to go to the protests that are happening. I've already gone to several. I want to get involved with, I don't want to get involved with another political party necessarily, but I want to get involved with the people who are building the things that will replace what happens when the system comes down. The system is the thing that has to come down, all right? The system's the thing that has to come down. Part of that is the guys who are not dentist rich but eat 19 dentists. That is part of the system that needs to go down, okay? All right, because remember, they control in the nervous system by building the world, not because it's, they're the crazy Illuminati who have the aliens behind them and whatever, secret crazy ritual you believe in. You don't need to believe in any of that stuff, all right? Believe in aliens or not believe in aliens. I don't know, I think we'll find out shortly. Like whatever you need to do to, you don't have to believe in any of the crazy conspiracy theories, guys. Drop the conspiracy theories. Some of them are true, but not all of them, all right? Especially not the one that they believed when they stormed the Capitol on January 6th, because now that was an actual riot. You have not seen a riot yet during this political uprising. What happened on January 6th in the United States was more of a riot than you have seen. And let me tell you, the media is manipulating you. They're showing you videos and pictures of protests that have not happened this year. They're showing you imagery that have happened in past protests, especially Fox News. I'm looking at you, boo-boo. I'm looking at you, boo-boo. I see you using media in irresponsible ways all of the time. Mr. Alex Jones on the Twitters, we already knew you were. But the other people who are reposting him, and guess who's reposting him? Do you know how many bots are online right now? Do you have any idea how much of the activity on Twitter and Facebook is? That's already algorithmically programmed for you to see it, all right? Remember that. But all of the action that's happening out there, some people think, dead internet theory, some people think that there are more bots online right now than there are people. And so what you think is happening out there, not that you can see it, right? You can't see it because you don't have free access to information. It's filtered algorithmically before it gets to you. You don't control that. But even if you did, half of what you're seeing out there, which is controlled, is also bot activity. And we haven't even started talking about AI. We haven't even started talking about deep fakes. We haven't even started talking about what will happen when we realize AI can't do what we thought AI could do. And then the economic situation that happens when that happens. We haven't even started talking about all of that. Because this is a triathlon, all right? And your only requirement right now is not to go numb out and dissociate. That's your only requirement right now, all right? You can do more, do more. I'm doing as much as I can do over here. I've been doing too much, actually. I have been doing too much, and I gotta tune it back because I gotta take care of myself because this is a triathlon, an absolute triathlon. And it will be not just this election cycle in the United States. Because we have entered a new way of living as a world because of so many factors that are happening, not just the weird metaphysical stuff, but, metaphysical stuff too. But at the advent of AI, the stacking of technology, the way that systems inevitably advance, the redistribution of power and wealth when a center nation is no longer run by a sane human being. And what is bigger is that guy didn't get in there by killing everybody else. That guy got in there by people electing him. And after he had already been the president once. And that some of those people still think he's doing a good job. The fact that guy, right? Poof! Poof! Right? That's... and in the middle of the poof! It doesn't have to be a bad thing. We're going to keep going in circles. It does not have to be a bad thing in the middle of the boof. This does not need to be scary, folks. Guys, this does not need to be bad. This can be beautiful. This can be good. This can be revelatory. This can be full of joy. This could be freedom. This could be emancipation. This could be liberation. And let me tell you, there are some people who know a thing or two about that. There are some people who know a thing or two about liberation. You want to go, so many people know so many beautiful things about liberation. Go read some stories by Octavia Butler, as an example. What a beautiful world we could be living in. If we could imagine it outside of the information they gave us. Only if we could stop running in the loops that we're running in. Only if we could stop getting stuck in our dopamine cycles that we get stuck in, our dopamine. If only we could stop that, then we could, and we had a way of coming together as a community or as a personal practice to just stop and imagine about how cool or good things could be. Like, what would happen if the way that we control access to manipulate software, who can put apps on your iPhone, who has the ability to upgrade a John Deere tractor, who has the ability to fix an MRI machine or just, reset an MRI machine after it's fixed? What if the way we just changed that system changed? Whoa. What if we just didn't control copyright the way that we used to control copyright? What if we just taxed the really, 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 really rich, not the dentist rich, the really, really, really rich? What if we stopped having two-party political systems? And what if we took money out of politics? Ooh! What if we did that? What if we stopped having so many old people in office? I know some of them are good, though. I'm looking at you. I can think of a couple of them. What if we limited how many people could be there who had white male bodies? Uh-oh, that could be problematic. That could be problematic. Oh, that could be problematic though. Or maybe, I don't know. We have to think about that one. What if we just stop and we got into the, I have to think about that one mode? Because we could take this thing down slowly. We could take this thing down methodically. We could take this thing down in deliberate, slow, nonviolent ways while we're building the new thing. The old thing's gots to go. You can't renovate it. No renovations. I'm sorry, sir. It is termite rotted. It's gotta go. It's going. If it's not going because we're, revolting it here, it will go because the planet will burn down. We will burn this thing down. Guys, woo! We will burn this thing down real quick. Let me remind you, climate change is still a thing. Let me remind you, the climate change is still a thing. All right? We have forgotten that. We got a little distracted with little Don up there in the office. We got a little distracted. But let me remind you, climate change is still a thing. All right. Despite all the stuff we got going in the liberates the peoples, please liberates the peoples, the climate change is still a thing. I mean, we can just go clean up all of the political stuff we have and sing a kumbaya around the campfire in 20 years, and then somebody's going to pop their head up and go, hey guys, the world's burning down because we've been burning it down. All right? We got to knock that out too. All right? We got to knock that out too. Earth Day's still a thing. And I'm not going to do much on Friday. And I'm not going to go join a Democratic Party. I'm not going to go donate to the socialists. I am not going to go knock stuff down necessarily. Definitely not physically. I don't think we need any destructive energy, folks. No destructive energy. We just gotta look at the thing and name what the thing is. All right. We don't gotta tear the thing down. We just gotta look at it and say, we have been doing some terrible things. Terribly. Real bad. We're real sorry. We're super sorry to the world. And we also super sorry to most of our population. And I'm also super sorry to all you guys. Because I've been terrible to people who are like me. We all sorry, we all did real bads. Woo, we did real bads. And we also, we got over that. Now we gotta clean up our mess. As my dad said, if you don't cry over spilled, got that memory back. Don't cry over spilled milk and clean up your mess, guys. All right? We gotta get through this. We gotta get through this. Can't whistle like my mom. We gotta get through this. Looks like she smokes. Probably not. And we gotta get to clean up the planet. All right? Okay? All right? All right, that's not going to happen this year. That's not going to happen as a New Year's resolution for 2026. That's not going to happen this year. That's not going to happen by 2030. It's not going to happen by 2030. Not going to happen by 2035. That's not going to happen by 2035. That's not even going to be happening by 2040. I mean, even if the galactic aliens the Galactic Federation come down and say, listen, we showed up here, we got some work to do, here's magic, right? Even if the Jesus comes back, even if the, insert all the other stories, the good things happen, even if the AIs, even if the, whatever happens. By 2040, even in the best case scenario, we're still going to be working on this, all right? We're still going to be working on this. And let me tell you, we're going to be working on the planet, and we're going to be working for atoning for our sins. And we're going to be working on finding ways to move out of how we've believed what consciousness is, because let me tell you, everything we've talked about so far doesn't hold a candle to the conversation about what is the nature of consciousness and where it comes from, but we're not going to go on that. We'll save that for another rant, another manic episode. Sometimes being diversion is nice. So I'm not going to do anything on Friday other than not have a couple of meetings. I'm not going to disassociate. I am not going to go host a bunch of people at my house, even though I do need to figure that out. Like, I legitimately need to figure out what community I'm going to be part of, and I legitimately need to figure out how I can heal my body and so I can engage in economic activities. And I'm already doing some, and then figure out how I can support the people who I hold dear to me. Because let me tell you, as a neurodivergent queer, a lot of the people around me need support. And let me tell you, as a whatever minority out there, they need support. And let me tell you, if you're a rich white person, you probably need less support. And if you're a male, you may need less support than what you currently have. Just saying, man. Just saying rich people, just saying white people. You may need a little less than what you think you do, because those people need it. And we gotta be kind to all the peoples, right? We gotta be kind to the Trumpers. Right? Because the only way we turn this around is when that 30%, we redeem them. Because we can't fix this thing without redeeming 30% of the population, right? We're not just giving them Texas and Florida and say, having fun. We don't need a civil war here, all right? We do not need a civil war here, all right? We need to be a little bit kinder. All right? We need to be able to feel our feelings. We need to be able to grieve. We need to be able to have conversations. We need to be able to admit that this thing is bad. We need to work on ourselves. We need to own the truth. We need to collapse the system. We gotta rebuild the new thing, but we don't gotta collapse it. It is collapsing itself by us just looking at it and naming it. And that's why I'm not sure that you need to do much more than not go to work on Friday. And maybe you don't even need to do that. Maybe you don't even need to do that. Maybe doing the strike is not the thing. But let me tell you, there's never going to be the thing. Listen, let me tell you, there's never going to be the one thing that you go and do that will finally come up, and that will be right. The only way we do this is a coalition. The only way we do this is a coalition. And you will never agree with what they said. Right? That is part of why the whole Wall Street riots, you remember those things? That stuff? That's part of why that movement didn't go further than what it could have, right? Because they were building coalitions, but the system said, listen, you gotta either be the Democrats or the Republicans. You gotta either be the blacks or the whites. You gotta either be the Latinos or the Asians. It splits us up. It bifurcates us. It creates artificial made-up silos. It creates artificial made-up structures to turn you against you. Guess who does that, right? The guys who make all the straight lines, right? The really rich ones. Not the dentist rich, the really, really rich. Remember, we do like private property, though. So that's what I think you should do this Friday, is realize the system's gotta go. And that means you're gonna feel a lot. You gotta feel a lot. And the system's gonna go because the planet's gonna go. Gaia's gonna actually be fine. I'm pretty sure Gaia, the planet, will be okay. Because after she allows the human virus to burn itself off, a couple of million years later, listen, this thing's been around for a little while. It's just we just a drop in the ocean, folks, right? We can just burn ourselves off, burn down half the planet with us, but it go keep spinning. Big Pachamama gonna keep spinning. And eventually, something else gonna come along. Probably. Something else gonna come along. New sort of monkey gonna come along. But we can burn ourselves off of her if we want to. We don't need to. This could be a non-violent, beautiful thing where we start by cleaning up our own crap, and then we start imagining how the new thing could look, and we stop saying there has to be one way to do it all, and we admit that everybody can do stuff however they want to do stuff, and we don't need to come up with one system to rule them all, right? That's terrible. The Lord of the Rings would never work if the orcs and the elves and the hobbitses and the ents all were ruled by the same rules. That would never work. That would never work. You just gotta let the ents and the elves, and let the ents and the elves become ents and elveses, okay? All right? You just gotta let them be who they want to be a little bit and help them grow and move. Probably, no killing anybody, but you gotta let people. You gotta we don't need such a tight control. We don't need more totalitarianism. We do not need a bigger socialistic government, probably. I don't think that's the right. I think we just gotta let peoples be the peoples, because I think that's what's gonna happen anyways. Because even if we figure this thing out socially, we gotta figure this thing out environmentally. Triathlon. Alright? Closing words. I am well aware that this video looks like a crazy manic rant. I'm well aware that I have some pretty intense opinions. And I'm well aware I said a lot that will trigger a lot of people. A lot of people have perceptions of how this is interpreted in your mind. And what you think that I meant. And what you thought I was trying to communicate. And what my story, or how I communicated the story, was trying to present a perspective of me so you could see it. You're gonna do all that, all right? You're gonna do all that. Maybe not if you're an autistic, but you're gonna do all of that if you're not. Probably if you are too. I would. And you're gonna respond to some little saying. But before you do that, I just want you to sit down and admit that what's happened around you is not good and it could be better, and I can imagine something better. And I want to do stuff with other people after I admit how much I've gone wrong and allowed myself to be redeemed, and allowed the Trumpers to be redeemed, and allowed the bad guy to be redeemed, and allowed the system to fall and even those guys to be redeemed. We don't have to burn them. We don't have to eat them. Even though they can eat 19 dentists an hour, we don't have to eat them. We can just love them like we aren't loving us. And this could be a really beautiful thing. Can we just agree on that? Like, can we, despite what you think about anything else I just said, or what you thought about it, or what your perception was, despite all, can we just sit down, hold on our hands, the dining room table, and even to the people that we don't like, say, we all agree at this table that it could be better. And that I probably haven't been doing my absolute best, because I'm now seeing some new stuff. And that says something about me. But we all agree that A, none of us has to be the right one. You can all do kind of what you want to do. And it can get better. It can get better. And it does not have to be ugly. Because it's not just about us, it's about the planet. Can we just agree on that? Can we just agree on that? I should put a little petition at the end of this video that we can agree on that. You agree on that. If you agree on that, put it in the comments. Ooh. I'm gonna go to bed now. Because I'm exhausted. Because saying all this is tiring and thinking it is worse. And I need to go recover because I gotta rise. This isn't about resolution. This isn't about revolution. This is about rising as a person, as a community, as a planet.